Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of Pinfalls. Today, we're going to be discussing the Elimination Chamber, WWE's Elimination Chamber, airing this Saturday on the Peacock Network. I am Johngy of johngysbeat.com and Global Women's Sports Radio. And joining me, as always, somebody I wouldn't want eliminated, Tommy Else.
Hi, John. How you doing, buddy?
I am good. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thanks for having me back yet again. Here we are.
Well, as I said, I wouldn't want to eliminate you.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I tied that in.
You couldn't if you tried, so I'm not worried about it.
Oh, I know that. So we got 8 matches, 8 big matches, and actually, it's an interesting card. So let's just dive right into it. We got the Universal Championship, Roman Reigns versus Goldberg.
I don't know, man. I gotta say, if I'm gonna go with Reigns on this one. If they give it to Goldberg, I just don't. I have no words. I mean, the guy. I don't know why. I don't know why he keeps coming back. I just don't think that he is. I don't find him entertaining. I don't think his matches are that great. And as far as Roman Reigns, that guy can't go at this point. He couldn't go this long and have the journey he's had with this title to lose it to Goldberg 1 month before WrestleMania, or a month and a half, whatever.
Agreed. Yes. Yeah. I mean, we know why Goldberg comes back. Goldberg comes back for the money. Why do they keep bringing him back? I don't know. Yeah. He's old. He's limited.
I don't have a problem with any of that. Even it's just that I just don't find him entertaining. Like I don't think that he doesn't have charisma. He's good at making the mean face and coming out and saying you're next, and he can cut a decent promo, but he can cut a decent promo in the sense that he can do it without stuttering over himself or anything like that. But as far as drawing emotion from people, I don't get anything from him. And I've enjoyed some Goldberg moments over the years. I mean, I'm not completely, trying to, delouse Goldberg here, but I mean, the timing of this, it's just every time they go to Saudi Arabia, they end up having to answer some asks from the king, and they love Goldberg. They want to see Goldberg, they want to see Lesnar, they want to see those guys, and so they put him on the card. The problem with this, though, is that if Goldberg comes back and loses to Reigns, I mean, you're just making Goldberg look bad.
Yeah.
No matter how great the match might be, as long as he still loses, I mean, has he won any of the matches he's had in recent history? I mean, from what I remember, he's lost most of them.
Yeah.
He's come back at least, the last 2 or 3 times or so. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. I just think it's kind of a wasted match, but whatever.
Well, you're right. And if Goldberg wins, what does that do for WrestleMania? Unless they have a title change in between and he's just a transitional champ, but I don't see what that does.
He cannot be in the main event at WrestleMania. No. And I can't think of another wrestler that could make him look good and have a good enough match to warrant a WrestleMania match with Goldberg in it.
Well, not even that, too.
For a title match, at least. I mean, you want to have Goldberg just go have a match. Well, then I don't care. But for the title, no, you can't. You can't have.
Yeah, and who's the big, who do you want to see? I really want to see blah 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 fight Goldberg as a main event. Nobody.
No.
And it can't be Reigns again, because good gosh, this has to end. So
right.
So Reigns takes this one. We both agree.
Yes.
SmackDown Tag Team Championship: the Usos versus the Viking Raiders.
Well, I'm going to go with the Usos. Again, I feel like we're getting too close to WrestleMania for them to lose the titles now. I feel like their title reign is obviously very tightly tethered to that of Roman Reigns. And so if Roman isn't about to start going downhill, I don't think they're going to be either. So it's a good opportunity for the Viking Raiders. I'm glad to see them get, a spot on a premium event. And I think that they're a good tag team that if they stick with being a tag team could age well over time. They could do some cool stuff. They have done some cool stuff. So I like them. But yeah, again, I think timing wise, it doesn't make sense. So I'm going Usos.
I am also going Usos. I think the Viking Raiders have a nice future. I think they are going to stay together. I think this will be a good match if they plan it right and the match goes a decent time length and the Viking Raiders get to look strong. It could potentially set up a match at WrestleMania. Either way, though, the Usos retain at the Elimination Chamber.
So we're in agreement so far on 3 for 3.
We're in agreement. Now the next one, we got Rey Mysterio versus The Miz. And before you give your pick, I just want to say, wouldn't that be a cool tag team name if they were Miz Stereo?
Sure. Yeah, I could see that. That would be a real stretch to get those two characters together, but sure.
It's sort of like Jericho.
Yeah. I liked Jericho. Yeah, I know. Some of those names are cool and some of them are just like some of them are just head in your hands, I mean, I don't know, but
anyway, I digress.
So Mysterio versus the Miz. I feel like I'm gonna lean towards the Miz on this one. I think that Mysterio can take the loss. I think that if anything, this could lead into maybe something between Dominic and the Miz down the road. They had a couple matches recently on Raw, and so if there's I mean, poor Rey Mysterio's been on the end of some pretty brutal things. If you remember when they popped his eye out of his head?
Yes.
I mean, that was just like so
yeah.
I could see something going down where like Miz either beats him or maybe he loses to, or maybe it's a DQ or something like that, but then he goes after Rey. But if I have to pick a win-loss column, I'm going to go Miz for the win.
I am also going Miz for the win. That what makes us 3 for 3. I see Dominic possibly either during the match causing a loss or potentially after the match going up against his father, and maybe then it sets up the match of the Mysterio versus Mysterio at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think Dominic is going to be somehow come into play. Miz wins.
He will definitely play some part in the whole thing. I agree.
All right. Well, we're 3 for 3. This is going well. We have the next match. We have Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss.
I
don't know why.
Yeah, this is one I'm not particularly interested in. I feel like Drew McIntyre needs a win right now, probably more than Madcap Moss. What's his name?
Yeah, Madcap Moss.
Yeah. McIntyre needs the win. They've been, he needs some comeuppance on them. They've been ripping on him, when he was gone for a while or something like that. And then, they were making jokes about Drew McIntyre and all this, and he hasn't exactly gotten his revenge yet. So I think that this is where, because he can get a win on him, and this is probably build up to a match between him and Happy Corbin at some point. So I think this is just a precursor to that. So I'm going to go McIntyre on that.
I'm also going McIntyre. I vacillated just a little bit. Like, I don't know what they're doing with Moss. I don't see this doing him any good.
Yeah, and I agree, and that's part of what I mean. I try to look for a reason why he would win, and I just don't really see at this point why he would, and I don't know what they're doing with him either. He just seems to be kind of floundering out there. Although I don't know what they're doing with Corbin either, to be honest.
Well,
I
yeah,
mean,
good
like,
point.
you get two guys who, I mean, like, I guess they're good together for that much, but they probably need each other right now. So
Well, right now I don't need either one of them because
yeah.
I find the whole thing just incredibly annoying. And speaking of incredibly annoying, we have a tag team match, which this one kind of bugs me. We got Ronda Rousey and Naomi against Flair and Sonia Deville. Before I state who I'll let you decide your winner before I go into my winner. It's like a pointless tag team that it's not going to do anything.
I feel like I'm gonna go with Flair and Sonya Deville, because the build up between Deville and what's her name?
Rousey?
No.
Naomi.
Thank you. The build up between those two has been going on for a while. Okay. So the Rousey rivalry with Flair, is it's they're just drudging up old stuff. But with the other two, it's a fresh rivalry, and Naomi hasn't really had a chance to really get her comeuppance on Sonya. Sonya's been harassing her and taking advantage of her powers as authority figure there, and making it very difficult for Naomi. And this has been going on for a long time. I think that's a match that's either WrestleMania or if they do one before then. Is there another one between now and then, or is this?
I don't think so.
Okay, so maybe it would be something WrestleMania related then. So I mean, it's 2 nights. So that's I think there needs to be a bigger payoff. So and for them to just win a tag match, it's not the payoff. And I think it would water down the payoff if they won the tag match. They gotta lose again, and then finally get it at WrestleMania.
Well, once again, I will agree with you. It's we're thinking alike on this whole card. Apparently,
it's frightening. It's frightening.
It is frightening. But this match just seems like a filler match, a place card. I mean, it's always good to see the women on the actual card. I applaud that. But Flair and Rousey within this match, I guess it's going to add fuel to their burgeoning feud too. But I just find this match annoying.
They're trying to keep the storyline going, but they're just killing time until Mania. Like they want all this stuff to go off at Mania, I think, but they don't want you to like lose interest in it either. So it's like, this is kind of like a, here you go, we'll put these two together, and they have reason to be on each other's sides and reason to be against the other two. So
but a win doesn't really do anything.
No, it doesn't. Well,
for either side.
Ideally what it does is if Deville and Flair win, it stokes the fire more in the other two to want to come back and really defeat them at Mania. So I mean, that's the best thing that would come out of it, which is why I think they'll win. So
well, we're 5 for 5. Let's go to the Elimination Chamber match. Let's start with the men. We got Austin Theory, Riddle, AJ Styles, Brock Lesnar, Mr. Becky Lynch, and Lashley.
It is a tough one. I'm actually going to go Brock Lesnar on this. What?
I agree. Go ahead.
Okay.
Give your reason.
Okay, so I'm going Brock Lesnar because I think that Lashley, while I love him as champ and everything, Lesnar called it, and he had said that he wanted to win that title and then have a champion versus champion match with Reigns at WrestleMania. I've said before that I am sick and tired of Lesnar and Reigns at WrestleMania. I've seen it. I think they've done it twice, but
Twice, yeah.
But I mean, you also have all the build up and everything
Yeah.
to it and everything. I just, and I never thought their matches were that great. This would be a different story. I mean, Roman Reigns is at his apex. This is the best Roman Reigns has ever been in his career. I almost called him Goldberg. That's bad. Brock Lesnar also just somehow, after all these years, just a force to be reckoned with. And I think that if you've got the two of them in a title versus title match, that is a huge draw. And while I love Bobby, I think he's done a great job with the title. I think he should get it again and several more times thereafter. I just don't see how anybody's getting out of that chamber with Brock Lesnar in there, even Lashley. And I mean, he's Lesnar for the win. So,
well, I just went process of elimination. I eliminated Theory, Riddle, and Styles quickly. All very good wrestlers. Yeah, even Riddle. All very.
What do
good
you
wrestlers.
have against Riddle? You're always poking at Riddle. What don't you like about Riddle? I like Riddle. What do you got against Riddle?
I don't find him believable in the ring. I think he's a goof.
In the ring.
I find him to be a goof, and I don't like him. And I'm not backing down. Now, he's got potential to change. Maybe it's a character that I don't like. I'm not sure. I like AJ Styles. I'm not all that familiar with Austin Theory, but I don't mind him yet. So that leads me down to Lesnar, Mr. Becky Lynch, and Lashley. Rollins is going to have a good showing because he's Seth Rollins. He's always good. But he's not gonna win this. He's not gonna go into WrestleMania as the main event, which then leaves, as everyone expects, Lesnar and Lashley. For the same reasons you said, I go with Lesnar too. The only question I have ultimately is that if they do a title versus title, is that then a unification match? And then are they gonna keep the brands, or is that? And then does he fight? Does he defend both belts? Does he choose which belt he wants to defend on any given show? How does that work?
Well, John, don't put too much on your plate at once there, buddy. Let's just see,
I like to think ahead, Tommy.
Let's get past the Elimination Chamber. You could have a title versus title match without unification. I mean, it's just a champion versus champion match. I mean, they do it at like Survivor Series all the time and stuff.
So it's not for a title then at WrestleMania? It's got to be for the title.
Well, I would imagine that yes, it probably would be. I'm just saying that it doesn't always mean that that's the case. But yes, I think I've heard that they are considering like just kind of dropping the brand split. I mean, like you'll still have Raw and SmackDown, but like as far as there being exclusives or something like that, I don't know. So if that was the case, then yeah, a unified title would work. But I don't know. And then after that, I mean, you'd have to, if it's unified, then you don't have to worry about, picking which title to defend or whatever, like, Becky 2 belts and all that stuff.
Well, it could be like like boxing where the guy's got 15 belts, but he doesn't defend each one every time he fights.
Right.
So I mean, he could have 2 belts, but and go on, on Raw, I'm going to defend my Raw belt. On SmackDown, I'll defend the other one.
It could be. But
and this is WWE. We don't,
we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
All right. Moving along, we're 6 for 6, folks. Moving along, now we have the women's Elimination Chamber. We got Doudrop versus Nikki ASH, dumb name. Alexa Bliss, the returning Alexa Bliss. Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, and Bianca Belair.
Well, let me think here. I'll tell you what. Why don't you go first on this one?
That's good. That's fine. Again, I went process of elimination. I eliminated Doudrop and Nikki Ash immediately. They're out. I eliminated Liv Morgan, and good wrestlers. They're all good wrestlers. I'm not knocking any of them. They're not like Riddle. And then I eliminated Rhea Ripley, and then it came down to Bianca Belair versus Alexa Bliss. And I think if Bliss has been off for a while, whatever they had her with the doll, they didn't have her with the doll, they had her with the Fiend earlier than that, then they made her disappear. I think she coming back. I think she needs the win. I think they need to give her the win. I see her taking the win and then going into WrestleMania for the challenge for the title.
I agree with you. I think that they're doing a slow build with her with all the vignettes right now, with her like kind of building her sanity back or whatever. The other women are all obviously very great competitors as well, but they I just feel like they all have like their own storylines and other stuff going on right now that they don't. I mean, I don't want to say anybody doesn't need the main event at WrestleMania, but I mean, I think that I don't know where they would go with Bliss at this point if she just makes her, return at the Elimination Chamber and doesn't win. So it just, like you said, process of elimination. I think Alexa Bliss.
We're 7 for 7. This is uncanny. All right. Now we go to our last match. We've got Becky Lynch defending against Lita.
It's tough. It's tough. I really want to see Lita win. I really want to see Lita win. But I'm gonna go Becky Lynch. And it's only because I don't see where they could go after this if they put the title on Lita going into WrestleMania. Who would she fight at WrestleMania? Rematch with Becky. I mean,
yeah, it would pass the torch.
It wouldn't be the same. It would tie him up too. It's not like it would be a definitive. It's not like it's a tie-breaking match of any sort. Like if they had hit 2 matches and then went to Mania, then that would be different. But I would love to see Lita win the title again, and she may someday. But you get around WrestleMania time and you really got to think about like, where are they going for WrestleMania, and then where are they going after WrestleMania that next Monday, So I'm going to go Becky Lynch.
Well, shockingly, probably going to pause for dramatic purposes. I'm going Lita. I think Lita does beat her. I think it does set up the rematch at WrestleMania. Maybe there's a stipulation. Maybe it's a retirement match for Lita, even though that'd be kind of silly because she's already retired. But I could see a nice build up with Lynch as the heel chasing the face into WrestleMania. Could be the passing of the torch. Lita, one of the greats, all-time greats, loses to Becky. Now Becky is the champ once again. If Becky loses this and needs some consolation, I would certainly be happy to do it for the team.
She's somebody's mother.
I said consolation.
Yeah.
I didn't make this blue. I didn't bring smut into this. I just said I would console her.
Okay, so if I have to go, with a win-loss thing, yes, I'm still gonna stick with Becky. However, what could be a good way to go is they have the match. Maybe it doesn't even get very far, or even if it does, it ends in a DQ or it ends in some sort of undecided type of thing. Now you've set something up where you can have like some sort of definitive match at WrestleMania, that's going to be like a street fight or no holds barred or something like that. And then put the title on Lita. Have her if she's going to win that title, let her win it at WrestleMania, for God's sakes. And then the next 3 months after WrestleMania are always kind of like the sketch pad of the year. You know, it's like they'll try anything at that point. You know, it's like that's when you start seeing new guys and different gimmicks, and you know, they start trying different things and whatever. You know, Lita being the champion, it's a great time of the year to go ahead and see what happens. You know, she could have it for a month or two, and you know, it either goes well or it doesn't, but it's not going to be a big deal either way. I just think that you're really robbing the people of that moment, and her for that matter, if she wins the title just a month before WrestleMania. It was one thing that bothered me when Eddie Guerrero beat Brock Lesnar for the title, because that they did at No Way Out, which was 1 month before WrestleMania. I think the reason they did that was because they were putting the other title on Benoit at Mania, and so they didn't want to have both of them, which is kind of dumb, because I mean,
Right.
at the end of the show, it was the two of them in the ring anyway, you know.
Yeah.
But it might have. I think they also wanted to give Eddie his moment and give Benoit his moment, and you know, so it's not unprecedented, but this isn't this is a different scenario. And I think Lita, if she's going to get that thing, she should get that WrestleMania moment of winning the title. Everybody will lose their minds. They'll love it. That stadium will go crazy. They'll go absolutely nuts if she wins the title at Mania.
Well, it could still go your way, and I could still be right about this match. As you said, there could be a DQ. My little Becky could get DQ'd and lose, and Lita wins.
Your little Becky.
Yeah, my little Becky 2 belts. But before we wrap this up,
somebody's calling the police.
There are a couple of wild cards that we should just bring up real quickly. With the recent shocking release, or departure, I should say, of Cody and Brandy from AEW, could they show up at Elimination Chamber? What could they do? How could they appear? Or are they going to wait for WrestleMania?
I see them making like a Raw debut. They may not. I don't think they would make. I don't think they'd wait till Mania necessarily. You know, they would want to like take them the next 6 weeks or whatever, and you know, like debut them the Monday after Chamber, and then get him, you know, built up, and then get some context as to why he's there and what's going on, and then go ahead and get a Mania match for him. So that's my best bet. I don't think they're going to go to Saudi, because the other thing is Saudi Arabia right now, you know, again, they have very specific asks for their, you know, talent and everything, and they are there to see WWE, and Cody is not. It's been too long, you know. It's like, I just think it would be a wasted debut for him, or
But wouldn't it be cool if he took out some wrestler, say, you know, I don't know, it's just random. If he took out Riddle and appeared in the Elimination Chamber?
That would be interesting. Yeah. I'd be fine,
and
with
possibly even win the Elimination Chamber.
No, it's because it still screws up the. I don't see it here. It would be interesting to do that for a Elimination Chamber, but this one and the ramifications it has, I don't see it happening.
Just saying, with, you know, I do agree with you. They can't hold off. Well, Brandy's not going to appear until Cody. Brandy's not going to do anything until Cody appears. She might appear and you know, foretell his coming.
I had read that she's not even going to WWE. That's just him.
Yeah, we're reading all sorts of weird things.
But but I don't know. I did have a theory I'll throw out there real quick. I mean, this is a long, far-fetched one. This is more fantasy football here than anything.
Okay.
But I thought, I'm like, okay, over the last year and a half, they have been firing people at WWE left and right? Making lots of room in the roster, making lots of room for other people in the other places. What if this whole thing is like an AEW invasion, and it just starts with Cody coming back, and then he starts like, bringing up AEW, something like that. Then he starts bringing in some guys and everything, and now you've got like the AEW invasion with WWE. It would be great business. It would be great business for them to do. It's just, it kind of gets muddy, but I just thought that would be interesting if all this time that's what this has been building up to. That's why they've been clearing the roster, making room, making these changes and stuff like that. And then they're going to start doing something with AEW.
Well, it's funny because I mentioned that to a fellow writer the other day online, and I said, I really hope this doesn't lead to an invasion angle. However, your storyline of the invasion angle would not be bad. That I could deal with. Would that mean AEW and WWE were working together all along, or at least from like a year ago?
Well, they would certainly have had to have had some some forethought into it. And in my scenario, they would have really had to have been thinking about because AEW is overloaded with too many wrestlers as it is,
right?
So they can easily spare some of their guys and stuff to go over and be part of some angle or something like that. And then there's the ramifications of like CM Punk and and Moxley and
Danielson.
Right. You get like the guys who are like the bitter, pissed off, like glad I'm gone from WWE, and then they join in on that. I mean, you could put a real elite group.
That could be good,
so to speak, and have them go over there, and it would be interesting. It would be interesting. Again, this is not a prediction. This is just just
I don't often
around,
say this,
but
I don't often say it, but I like the way you think on that one, at least.
Yeah.
One last question before we end this Pinfalls edition. Is there any chance of Erica St. Vaughn appearing in the Elimination Chamber, the women's match?
Buddy, there is always a chance. There is always a chance that Erica St. Vaughn could show up. And that's why you got to watch pretty much everything wrestling, because you never know where she may show up. So,
well, I would pop big time for that. But on that happy little note, we agreed on 7 of the 8 matches. Strangely, the only one we disagree on is my Becky, who I'm predicting to lose.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah. But in closing, as I wrap this up, any last words, Tommy?
No, just looking forward to the event. It's on during the day, right? Because it's in Saudi Arabia.
Yes. I don't have the exact time, but I'll flash it up there on the screen.
It's all right. I was gonna say, I would invite you again to yet another pay-per-view that you don't show up to.
Well, if you follow me on social media, you'll see that I am going to be at the Travel and Adventure show in Rosemont most of the weekend.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
I'm on assignment.
That's great. Well, I'm happy for you. I just want the viewers out there to know that, if you've watched this before, we've talked about the fact that I have invited good old John here to many pay-per-views over at my place, as I host them, pretty much all of them, and he has never once availed himself to come over and watch a pay-per-view. So
and I feel so bad because I thought I was going to make this one. I had nothing going on. It's a daytime. It's perfect. I don't have to, drive at night or whatever. And then Fran calls me and said he needs me to cover the Travel and Adventure show for Global Traveler magazine. So I got to follow the paycheck, my friend.
See, but that's when you say, well, Fran, I would love to, but it's the Elimination Chamber. And
he would say that's fine. By paycheck.
My good buddy Tommy he's invited me so many times, I just can't say no again. And he would have said it's perfectly fine, don't worry about it, I'm gonna write you a check anyway. And I'm gonna throw in I'm gonna throw in a little something so you can get some pizza and stuff like that too. So just show him this video. I'm sure he'll be more than
Will you be
accepting of it.
hosting? Will you be hosting both days of WrestleMania?
See, this is why I hate this 2-day WrestleMania thing. Yeah, I probably will. I mean, I'm gonna be watching it.
I guarantee you, I will be at one if you host them. If you host both days, I promise you, it's on tape.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll hold you to it. I mean, I will. I probably will. I mean, I'm going to be watching it anyway, so the door's open. Yeah. I mean, people want to come over. I mean, it's there. It's hard to you try to make an event out of something. It's like even Super Bowl. Like one of my buddies was saying, he's like, the thing, they start coverage at noon, and the game doesn't even start till 5 and stuff. It's like, yeah, but that's because it's also just it's like an event. It's like, people spend the whole day, cooking food and, and all sorts of stuff and getting friends and family together and commiserating. All that other stuff is just kind of on in the background and everything. So, but if you got to do it 2 days in a row, it just, it takes the steam out of it, I mean, unless
you're devoting an entire weekend.
Right.
To WrestleMania.
And if you're not doing hard drugs, you're not going to get through that 2 days and still be entertained. I mean, so. But on that note,
I don't know about hard drugs, but if you're having it for 2 days and I come by, there will be pizza on Global Woman Sports Radio. And speaking of Global Woman Sports Radio, I am John from Global Woman Sports Radio. As always, Tommy Else, contributor to Global Woman Sports Radio. This has been another edition of Pinfalls. Check back and see how we did. And watch WWE Elimination Chamber.